I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. We got a congressman.
Wait, a what?
Congressman Gabe Evans of the 8th Congressional District, just north of the Denver metro area, will be joining us, give us some insight on the State of the Union, his campaign, immigration issues here in Colorado, the effort by the city of Denver to weaponize the Denver PD to hand out tickets to ICE agents.
Yeah, how's that
and
work?
sanctuary city policies, plus the effort to change the redistricting map in Colorado. We have so much to cover with a good congressman from the 8th Congressional District. You're not going to want to miss that conversation. Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good Thursday morning, 47 and partly cloudy, plenty of sun out there in Denver, 48 in the Springs, expecting highs in the lower 60s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning. For a new home heating and cooling system, contact your Lennox dealer, Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Our top story, another large grass fire in Logan County forced firefighters to evacuate the small town of Petroni Wednesday. A few hours later, Logan County officials posted more evacuations for a larger area that included the town of Iliff in northeastern Colorado. Sterling firefighters say they managed to contain the fire to about 4,000 acres and got it contained.
Kind of shocked. It happened so quickly. My kid goes to school there, so he was shut down and locked down, so it was pretty scary.
And that was in Thornton. 5 people were injured after the grass fire that broke out north of Pinnacle High School in Thornton on Wednesday. It caused road closures in the area, including stops on I-25. 4 of the 5 injured were firefighters. Be careful out there again today. Former Secretary of State, Satanic Hillary Clinton, is giving her deposition today in the House Epstein investigation. According to House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer, former President Slick Willie will have his turn tomorrow.
Bill and Hillary Clinton initially resisted the request of the House Oversight Committee to appear to answer questions. But as the Epstein files continued to be released and Bill Clinton's name and picture continued to pop up hundreds of times, both Republicans and Democrats agreed the couple needed to answer their questions.
The the Clintons, agreed to appear for the video recorded depositions earlier this month, just as the House was set to vote on whether to hold them in criminal contempt of Congress for skipping their earlier deposition date. The U.S. and Iran holding another round of nuclear talks in Geneva today. DJT has continued to warn Iran about possible military action if a deal isn't reached. Last week, he gave Iran a deadline of 10 to 15 days to make a deal. Pump the brakes. We don't need to go to war for Israel again. America first. Only 1 out of 5 Americans want this, and we didn't vote for endless wars in the Middle East.
I was sitting there watching the coverage of the news coverage on this, and it's like potential war in Iran. And I'm like, are you just swapping out the letters?
Yeah.
They did Iraq.
Basically.
It's just like one letter. Now Iran.
Yep.
My boys are not going to die in this war. Sorry.
No, mine
nope.
either. Absolutely.
And the reasoning behind it is somewhat shockingly similar.
I agree.
Yeah. Hotbed of
I agree
terrorism
with you.
support and weapons of
Nuclear
mass
weapons of mass destruction and all that
It's
stuff.
weird.
Yep, exactly. No, I agree with you. We've didn't we learn something from that last 2 decades?
No.
3 Evidently not.
Nope, not at all.
No.
We've been sitting in the corner chewing crayons for that long, and it's not.
Evidently.
Yeah,
Telling
I
you.
feel the best the best example of that is who we elected in New York City. I'm still amazed at that. Here's a city that took, Islamic terrorism right in the face, and is like, let's elect Muslims to be our mayor. Like, that's just weird to me. Sorry.
Yeah. The whole city is
talking about just not learning a lesson.
True. I agree. And, speaking of Iraq, Iran is more dangerous. I mean, this is a country that, technologically and intellectually much more dangerous and close to 100 million, I believe, or 90 million. So, yeah, horrible idea. Stop. At 47's State of the Union address drew 28 million viewers across 8 major networks. That's according to preliminary data from Nielsen Media Research, the most viewers watched on Fox News. Douglas County Sheriff's Office investigating a hiker investigating after a hiker found human remains on Wednesday during their hike. A search and rescue team searched the area near Crowfoot Valley Road and Pradera Parkway southeast of Castle Pines, and they didn't provide any more information on that. U.S. Space Command offering retention and relocation bonuses to civilian employees as it prepares to move its headquarters to Huntsville, Alabama. Officials say about 1,800 headquarters staff are currently based in the Springs. Nuggets run past the Celtics 103-84 last night in Lodo, and the Avalanche back at it, and a victory in Salt Lake City over the Mammoth. They are 38-9-9 after their win last night. 48 in the Springs, 47 in Denver. That's the latest. I'm Blake Olson. More of the Jeff and Bill Show ahead on News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver, and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Very mild, but also very windy conditions along the I-25 corridor today from Denver to Monument Hill down into Colorado Springs and all the way down into Pueblo. We're going to be looking at really border to border, New Mexico to the Wyoming border, strong winds along I-25 as we have powerful jet stream winds streaking from the Pacific into the Rockies. Now, this has been productive overnight. The higher mountains in northern Colorado saw good snow and will see good snow through tonight. That'll help out the snowpack, but snow levels are going to be quite high due to the very mild temperatures in the 60s today, 50s and 60s tomorrow, then well into the 60s for Friday and Saturday as temperatures are going to stay well above average into the weekend. Do be ready for strong gusty winds and mostly cloudy skies. There is a slight chance of a shower tonight as some of that moisture could come off the mountains. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
.710 KNUS in Denver.
And now waking up with AM 1460 FM 101.1 The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show where you get both sides. And speaking of a district with both sides, likely the most competitive district in the country, right here in Colorado, just north of Denver, Congressional District 8. And it's represented by Congressman Gabe Evans, who joins us now. Congressman, what a week in Washington, D.C. I first want to ask you about being in the room for that State of the Union. From my perspective, it was one of the best ever given. What did you think?
You know my background, and good to be with you this morning, as always. You know my background. I spent 12 years in the Army. I was a helicopter pilot. I deployed to a combat zone in support of the global war on terror. So I know what a big deal a Medal of Honor is. I have never seen a live Medal of Honor ceremony before, and to watch two American heroes get Medals of Honor that night, one from the World War II and Korean era, and one just from a few weeks ago, it feels like, with the Maduro raid, both of them being aviators, I couldn't be more proud to be an American, to see the sort of grit and courage and heroes that this country produced in the greatest generation in World War II and is still producing today, with the CW5 warrant officer, Eric, that got the Medal of Honor for being shot 4 times and still completing that Maduro raid.
Now, I got to ask you, this could be totally off, but it comes into my mind. Were you involved with helicopters when you served in the military?
Yeah, I flew Black Hawk helicopters for almost a decade.
All right.
I mean, I know what it means to fly a helicopter with 4 bullet holes in your leg. You use your legs to steer the thing.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, you have unique perspective. Was what that guy did, that soldier that received the Medal of Honor, was that remarkable? Like, how hard is it to land a helicopter when you got shot 4 times in the leg?
Yeah, so when you're flying a helicopter, I'm right-handed, so my right hand is on the cyclic. That's what we think of as the control stick. Your left hand is going to be on the collective. That's how much power and lift the engines are producing. But you steer what's called your yaw, your left and right, with your feet, with your pedals. And so being shot in the leg and still being able to control the pedals is incredible. And then being able to do that in the position that he was in, the flight lead, CW5, most senior, more than likely aviator on this mission, the guy that was involved in planning it, very, very tight timelines, very, very precise landing and takeoff locations, and to do that with major injuries. I mean, if that guy goes down, the flight lead aircraft goes down, you're going to jeopardize this entire mission. And so, it's beyond incredible to just be in a room with folks like that.
That's Congressman Gabe Evans, who represents Congressional District 8, just north of the Denver metro area. Congressman, speaking of incredible, when Donald Trump asked folks to stand because they're willing to commit to putting Americans first, and the Democrats refused to do so, tell me about that moment.
I mean, I wish I could say I was surprised, but we've seen where their heads are at these days. Republicans in Congress are saying common sense things like let people keep their overtime wages tax-free. Democrats in Colorado are retaxing it. Republicans say we should secure the border and actually go after the bad guys that are in our country dealing drugs, which, by the way, going back to war on terror, every 15 days under Joe Biden, more Americans were killed from drug overdoses peddled in our community by cartels and drug dealers than died in the entirety of the September 11th terrorist attacks. 400,000 Americans roughly died under Joe Biden from drug overdoses. And so we know that's tied to the border. We know that's tied to the organized gangs and criminals and cartels. We saw it just a few days ago in Mexico. What happened in Mexico with the leader of one of their cartels being taken out? These are violent, dangerous people, and it's just I don't have the words to describe how disappointing it is to watch Democrats not be able to stand and say we support Americans first, we support securing the border, we support protecting our community from 400,000 drug overdose deaths being peddled by cartels south of the border that come into our neighborhoods.
It was shocking to see that, and I think that's going to be a message that is taken into November. And that's where I want to go. I want to ask you about November. I used to serve a great senator. I went through an election cycle in the 6th year of a Republican's term. That was 2006. And it was tough for Republicans because you have this natural swing back that takes place in any president's 6th year. It happened in Obama's. That was 2010. 2014 was Obama's. So you're heading into one of the most difficult election seasons as a Republican in the most competitive district in the country. How do you win, sir?
Well, as you said, this was the only seat in the country that we flipped from Democrat to Republican in a blue state. This was the second closest Republican win in the nation in 2024, 2,449 votes. after a $40 million slugfest between the two sides. And we have a functional one-vote majority right now in the U.S. House, 218 Republicans, 214 Democrats, and there's one Republican that typically votes no. That makes it 217, 215, ties lose. We have a one-vote majority. This seat is a significant part of the majority. But, you know, we hold this seat by just focusing on the basic common sense things that Americans want us to focus on, like we just talked about. We're going to put Americans first. We're going to make sure that we're keeping the country safe. We're going to make sure that we're not letting drug dealers and cartels come into our community to sell poison. I can speak to that because in addition to my 12 years in the U.S. Army and the Colorado Army National Guard, I spent another 10 years as a police officer in the Denver metro area. And so public safety is critically important. We know the cost of living is important. We talked about it. Republicans made overtime wages tax-free. Democrats at the state level here in Colorado retax that. Republicans are busy trying to figure out how to make life more affordable. We saw gas dip below $2 a gallon here in Colorado because Republicans are pushing for energy dominance, while Democrats are busy banning natural gas for residential heating here in Colorado and trying to figure out how to legalize prostitution, which of course is going to be horrible for our communities, for women in general. It's just unfortunately the left is losing touch with reality, and they're pushing these completely far left ideas that make life less safe and more expensive for everyday Americans. And Republicans are the ones that are fighting back on that.
That's Gabe Evans. He represents Congressional District 8. That's just north of the Denver metro area. It's one of the most competitive districts, and we're talking the State of the Union. We're talking his campaign. Now, your colleagues in Congress are going all in, what it seems to be, against ICE these days. They are calling for the Bighorn Correctional Facility not to be reopened. ICE looking to possibly use that. And that's near your district. It's not in it. I actually looked this up yesterday. Its address is in Congresswoman Boebert's district, but Hudson itself, kind of close to your district. But your colleagues going, we don't want ICE in the state. We want to be a sanctuary state. We want Denver to be a sanctuary city. We're going to ban ICE agents from wearing masks to keep their identities private from what I see are protesters that want to dox them, humiliate them, try to intimidate them. So it seems like the Democrats in Colorado all in against ICE. Where do you fall along this?
Yeah, so again, I was a cop for 10 years, so excuse me. Sorry about that. Grab a quick drink here. So, again, you know, I was a cop for 10 years. I was a supervisor. So we, of course, have to have standards in our law enforcement agencies and communities to make sure that they're respecting people's constitutional rights. But the true fact of the matter here is Democrats want an issue to campaign on. They have a political incentive to stoke fear and create division and spread, rumors and at times outright lies, try to misrepresent information. Look no further than the reporting that came out, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago, that said only 14% of folks that are in ICE custody are violent criminals. Only 14%. That sounds like a really, really low number until you look at the data behind that statistic and discover, nonviolent crimes are things like child porn or drug dealing or burglary. And when you add in the nonviolent crimes, which of course were not included in that headline, you get to between 60 and 70% of the people in ICE custody are either 14% violent, or almost 50% of these folks are nonviolent, so-called nonviolent, like, people that produce or solicit or distribute child porn or deal drugs that have killed 400,000 Americans, or burglarize or commit fraud, all sorts of other bad things that we don't want in our community. And whatever number the media comes up with is always going to be a little bit lower than the actual number, because when the media goes and checks for a criminal history or criminal background, they can only see the United States typically. They're not going to go get information on whether or not somebody is wanted as a mass murderer in Sierra Leone. The State Department can get that and share that information with ICE. So we know what the actual numbers are. It's about 70% of the people that are in ICE custody are either known or suspected criminals. Suspected meaning they were like what happened in the southern part of my district, where we had 40-plus Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan prison gang members, where we had all of those prison gang members arrested. If you're hanging out with that crowd, even if you don't have a criminal conviction in the United States, ICE is going to hang on to you if you're here illegally, because if you're hanging out with Tren de Aragua, here illegally, that's not the sort of individual that we want to release back into the community. The truly ironic part in all of this, Republicans actually voted for $20 million to put a body cam on every single ICE agent. Democrats voted against that. ICE is currently funded through the reconciliation package last year. The Democrats refusing to vote for the Homeland Security bill, the appropriations bill to fund the agency, that's not defunding ICE. What it is defunding is FEMA, disaster relief and disaster management. It's defunding the Coast Guard. It's defunding TSA. All of the folks that are working out at Denver Airport for TSA are currently going without pay. It's defunding the Coast Guard. It's defunding FLETC, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Again, Democrats are back to their defund the police narrative because, again, they have a political incentive to create fear and rumor instead of actually addressing the facts about what's going on with ICE.
That's Gabe Evans, Congressional District 8 representative, maybe one of the most competitive districts in the country. Let's talk about competitive districts. Your thoughts on the proposed gerrymandered map for Colorado that voters could approve? Good idea, bad idea. Why not?
We know 1 in 2 voters in Colorado are independents. And so, again, this is Democrats not only trying to disenfranchise Republicans, they're trying to get rid of the Independent Redistricting Committee. It's got the word independent in it for a reason, because 1 in 2 Colorado voters are independent, and they want to make sure that they have fair representation. They want to make sure that they have equal representation. That's why, by a vote of the people, we got this Independent Redistricting Commission here in Colorado. And so, unfortunately, this is just another data point in a long sequence of Democrats outright ignoring the will of the people, oftentimes expressed at the ballot box via popular votes. There was an election in 2018 where voters were asked, should we mess with the way energy production is conducted in Colorado or leave it alone? Popular vote of the people at the ballot box in 2018, the voters said, leave energy production in the state of Colorado alone. Not to be deterred, 4 months later, Democrats went and re-implemented, they passed through the state legislature the thing that the electorate had just voted down. So this is unfortunately not the first time where Democrats are disenfranchising the people of Colorado by ignoring things that have been passed at the ballot box by a popular vote of Coloradans, which, as we all know, include 1 in 2 Coloradans are independent. That's why they want an independent redistricting committee.
So am I hearing that you think then it's an okay or acceptable idea for California then to gerrymander their districts based on that popular vote? Or should the gerrymandering be done by the legislature, as in Texas? Trump says it's absolutely your birthright that if you win these things, you then as politicians can go out and choose your voters. So who's right? California letting the voters choose, or Texas letting the legislature choose?
What percentage of California votes Republican?
Oh, very small. Don't know off the top of my head.
I do. It's about 40%.
No.
What percentage of Republicans from California will be, so of California's delegation, somewhere around 50. What percentage of Californians, representing the state in Congress will be Republican under this map that they've got?
Oh, as few as possible, but isn't that the point in Texas?
Do what?
Isn't that the point in Texas, though?
Let's do the numbers in Texas then. What percentage of Texans vote Republican?
Majority of them.
Yeah. What percentage of Texans in Congress will have will be Republican versus Democrat under the map that Texas drew?
Almost all of them. I think they leave 1 seat. I don't remember exactly.
Incorrect. It's about 70%, 75%, I want to say off the top of my head.
So how many seats do Democrats have out of Texas then? If it's 75, they get how many?
They will have a much larger percentage than Republicans have in California.
Not necessarily the point, though. The question I asked about, I mean, I appreciate the math, but I'm asking which one is right. Is it the voters choosing, or is it the legislature choosing? Because you were mad here that it wasn't representing will of the voters, things that had passed. And I agree. I think it should be an independent commission. I think it should be an independent commission in every single state. I don't think voters should have to choose, and I don't think that the legislature should choose. I don't think those groups get to choose at all. I think it should be done independently. But the world we live in right now is California doing it through voters, and Colorado's trying to do it as well because the liberal legislatures want to run it that way because it can get through the Supremes versus what Texas is doing, trying to get it through the legislature. That may not work as well. And the Supremes have some skepticism about that one. So what's better? Is it the legislature choosing, or is it the voters choosing? Because I think we can agree for the conversation. This is not about fairness. This has never been about fairness. And that's kind of the point. And so I'm not going to, just in the conversation, I'm not going to operate off an idea that we're looking for fairness. I don't think either party is looking for fairness as far as drawing the districts. So what would we do? Is it the voters have the better option, or does the legislature have the better option? Where should the power reside, in your opinion?
I mean, this is how the Constitution of the United States was ultimately structured, to make sure that we have a representative Republican form of government. And I think here in Colorado, we do a pretty good job with that independent redistricting commission.
It's Congressman Gabe Evans. He represents Congressional District 8 in northern Denver metro area. So, I mean, guys, my guess is this isn't going to change in Colorado. I mean, do you? I mean, do you think that they're going to? First of all, they got to go get the signatures in order to do so. That's a tough climb. But then voters, I don't know. What do you think, Congressman? Do you think it would actually change in Colorado? They'll go to this kind of gerrymandered map.
I mean, we'll find out what happens again when, if, as you said, if the signatures are even collected in a sufficient amount to be able to put this on the ballot. And then voters, of course, would have to vote on it. Keep in mind that this wouldn't even go into effect in 2026. This doesn't. If the signatures were to be collected, and if the voters voted for it, it wouldn't even go into effect until 2028. But all of that aside, again, I think that the folks in Colorado like to have their independent redistricting commission that draws fair, competitive maps that actually give them something akin to equal representation.
Final question. You've been very good with your time, Congressman Gabe Evans. When's the government going to reopen with this partial shutdown? What's your anticipated opening date there?
So we've passed the bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security, and that's the department that's currently shut down right now. Everything else is generally open. It's the Department of Homeland Security. The House has passed the bill to keep that open. Again, Republicans voted for it, including things like $20 million to put a body cam on every single ICE agent that's out there in the community. Democrats voted against that. We ran through the list of the things that are also under Department of Homeland Security, things like FEMA and the Coast Guard and TSA that Democrats are currently keeping shut down right now, even though ICE is funded through last year's reconciliation package. So it goes back to how we started off this conversation. Republicans are focused on trying to deliver common sense things for the American people first, and Democrats are not. They can't even stand for that in the U.S. House chamber when we're doing the State of the Union. It takes generally 60 votes to pass something through the U.S. Senate. Republicans have 53 votes. So we've got to get 7 or 8 Democrat senators to agree to open the Department of Homeland Security again, to support our federal law enforcement agencies again. And most to all of them can't even stand when asked who should they be working for first, the American people or folks who have come here legally.
So, I mean, it sounds like the pressure's got to build.
I had an answer.
Yeah. It sounds like the pressure's got to build more because I don't think the Democrats are willing to change quite yet. I do have one last question. We ask this to folks that come on the show. You're out there running around your district, meeting with folks. You're probably stopping by a gas station in order to fuel up. What is your go-to snack when you're out driving around the district?
I'm unfortunately not as young as I used to be, so I drink a lot of black coffee and I eat a lot of apples these days.
Healthier. We had Hope Shuppleman on. She goes to chips. She's a Dorito chips girl. Gabe Evans, That sounds about right. He goes for the apple and the black coffee. All right, Congressman, thank you for your time. Appreciate it today.
Yeah,
It's always good to be on with y'all.
All right, you can follow Congressman Evans at Rep. Gabe Evans on x.com, x.com/Rep. Gabe Evans. I mean, Bill, I want to give you a chance to respond because you seemed a little caught off guard by his answer on the answer with regards to Colorado. I don't know if you want
there just
with
wasn't
the map. I kind of felt
it
like
just wasn't there was an answer. And after the second time of asking it, he wasn't going to answer it. And that's fair. He doesn't have to answer it. But it was, I mean, I asked very directly, which one is right? And then he turned to the third option. And that's it. That's that. And so that was the end of the discussion. If I can't get him to answer which one is right, the legislature or the voters, and he goes to the third option, even if we agree on that, the question I had was, these are the ways that we are trying to gerrymander. And I understand that when he's talking about looking for fairness, and that's what he was looking for, well, it's not fair here and it's not fair here. The gerrymander is not about fairness. What they're doing in the legislature in California has nothing to do with fairness, and what they're doing in the legislature in Texas has nothing to do with fairness. So I'm not going to continue the conversation and ask questions based on the fact that we can't agree on the basic premise of the question. I understand. He wanted to answer a question that was different from the one that I asked, and that's okay. But I don't have to keep asking the same question when he's obviously not going to answer it. That's okay, too.
Do you like, though, the Colorado third option? It seems like you do. It seems like I think most people are like, yeah, let's keep it that way.
I think it is an awful idea to let elected officials choose their own voters.
Choose their own voters.
I think that's just stupid. So I think the legislative option is the worst of all of them. Yet we've been doing it for years, and how many times during the debate over the Texas gerrymander did we hear, look at all the other liberal states that do it? It's not a tit for tat. It's incorrect universally. I don't care if it's an R or a D. It's universally incorrect in my mind. I think the voter option is slightly better, but it also plays into a majority coming out and can tilt the scales. I like an independent commission. And if I was in charge, and I never will be, my goal would be to make as many of the districts 50-50 as possible. I want them to be as close as toss-ups as possible. I don't want any of y'all to sit in a safe district.
Why? I mean, if most of your district and the people, because this is what, like, when you determine what a district is, 50-50 can be one aspect, but me and all of our neighbors are generally pretty conservative. Why do I have to balance that out with people that don't share my values? Like I like the fact that Lauren Boebert represents us. She can be as conservative as she wants to be. That's most of my neighbors. We appreciate that. So why the mandate that it be close to 50-50?
Oh, I understand. And again, I'm not going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I don't think it's achievable. And I don't think that you can draw all the districts in Colorado to be necessarily 50-50. But I disagree with purposeful congregations of like-minded voters into safe districts because I believe that creates a representative or a senator that can be unresponsive to, and again, representatives much more than the senators, unresponsive to anything on a national level, unresponsive to White House. It becomes problematic when it doesn't matter what you say, that you're always going to get reelected. You can be as crazy or as weird or as problematic as possible just to gum up the works. And I have a problem on the national level where someone that sits in a district where they're never going to have to run competitive gets to create a roadblock for the rest of national legislation. I think that is a problem. We do have some remedies, things like getting over filibusters and votes and things, but based on our current situation, I don't think that I have any confidence inside of the Congress that they will be able to overcome some of those. So when I've got one person that sits in a safe district that's never going to run in a real competitive primary, that doesn't have to worry about their job, and it is a job for life, and they can be there for 35 years, I just disagree with that idea. I just think that's a bad idea. I don't think that gets us the best possible legislators. I don't think it's the best possible lawmakers. And I don't think it is in the national interest of the U.S. as far as moving things forward. Could it be in the interest of the state? Yeah, I get it. And I can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. So it's not possible to do it across the country, simple based on demographics. I don't think I could make every district in Texas competitive. But the legislature tried.
And it's part of what the Democrats are making the argument right now in Colorado, going, we elect Democrats everywhere. And yet, our congressional districts 50-50? Come on.
Yeah. And that's the argument, is that because you have so much of an overwhelming control in even our state house, then why should any of the districts be competitive in Colorado? And I disagree. I think they should be fighting tooth and nail. And I think these state districts are much more important to be competitive than the national ones. Much more important.
Feel free to give us a call. Join the conversation. What did you think of Gabe Evans? Do you think he's going to win in this competitive district? That's a big question. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line at 720-819-5115. Folks, let's talk Colorado Christian University. They've got a great event coming up with one of our colleagues, Hugh Hewitt, here soon. You're not going to want to miss that. Hugh Hewitt, you can hear on 710 KNUS in the afternoons. But he's going to be joining Colorado Christian University on March 13th at 7 p.m. for the President's Speaker Series, featuring nationally renowned commentator, author, and legal scholar Hugh Hewitt. For decades, Hugh Hewitt has interviewed America's top leaders in politics, media, and culture, and now you can hear him live in his presentation, A Flock of Black Swans, a breakdown of American politics and modern journalism. Hewitt will offer sharp, thought-provoking insights drawn from decades at the forefront of media, law, and public discourse, exploring the unexpected forces shaping our political and cultural landscape. This in-person event tackles the big question of our time: how Christians engage culture, speak truth with clarity, and live out conviction with grace in a divided world. This Christ-centered evening is open to students, families, and the entire community. Tickets are on sale now. Seating is limited. Don't miss this rare opportunity. Learn more and reserve your seat today at ccu.edu/Hugh Hewitt. That's ccu.edu/Hugh Hewitt. More of the Jeff and Bill Show to come. 710 KNUS in Denver.
And now on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. Just heard in the recent interview. This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver.
And now on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show where you hear both sides. We're just wrapping up our conversation with Gabe Evans. Bill, you think he wins re-election?
Yeah, I do. I think that Gabe is just conservative enough to satisfy MAGA and not conservative enough to drive away many of the more conservative side of the Democrat Party and also of those unaffiliated. And he's got to appeal to those unaffiliateds. And I do not believe, again, the unaffiliateds are not one group that all shares anything really in common other than being fed up with the other two political parties. But I'm hard-pressed to think that that is a bastion of the super libs. I have a feeling the super libs are already in the Democrats and are registering for things like the Democrat Socialists of Colorado. They're already in that group. They're not in the unaffiliated group. So I think him being conservative but not being super MAGA will benefit him inside of the race. And I'm curious to see any of the challengers, how they can create that differentiation. What do they feel Gabe isn't doing that the district needs? And that would be the only way I think you've got a path forward to try to unseat him. But I would put my money on him right now.
I agree with you, and this will be in part because of who he has to run against. If they get this guy named Manny Rutenau, have you seen some of his pictures?
No.
So dude went to Yale and is like passionately against the consumption of animals. He's like not just a vegetarian. Dude walked around with like signs on with no clothes, kind of like PETA level.
Oh.
Like commitment. And guess what they do up in Congressional District 8?
Yeah,
they process animals for food.
Yeah.
In a lot of places.
I don't think that taking a position of animals are not our food is ever going to work in Colorado. I think there may be other places you might eventually get there, but not here. Not anytime in the next few decades. There's no way. I can't wrap my head around that one.
And he went on Kyle Clark, too, and just fell on his face. As a Democrat.
Really? Oh,
wow. As a Democrat, he did. It was remarkable to watch. So if he ends up against this guy who's he was in the state legislature for a bit, Manny. But if you look, maybe you go to his website, he's wearing a cowboy hat and there's a buffalo in the back and all that stuff. But he's super lib.
If someone associated, now it can't be Gabe's campaign, but there isn't an action committee out there that doesn't use pictures of him being all naked protesting meat, you're missing the boat. You're missing the boat. Oh, speaking, I just a tangent right here because I'm not linear. That just sparked a thought. Have you seen the ad from John Cornyn in Texas going against Abbott? Oh boy, because Abbott's going after a seat, and let's just say,
is he?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought Abbott was running for re-election. Maybe I could.
No, I think he's going after a Cornyn seat because he's just dropped a video that goes right at Abbott with both barrels and a couple of steer horns. Starts off with saying BS, as in bull, and then they bleep out the other side of it with a wonderful looking steer.
So Abbott is running for re-election.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I know he's running against Cornyn because.
Is Cornyn? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll see if I can pull it up. It's a little crazy.
Yeah. Manny Rutenau's activism dates back. This is the Colorado Sun. At least to his days as an undergraduate student in Florida, where he posed shirtless on campus, draped in a People for the Ethical Treatment of Animal banner to illustrate the amount of water used in beef production measured in showers. As a student at Yale Law School, he's quoted in the campus publication saying, "Animal agriculture is horrific. It's an exploitative industry." And they do a lot of that up in Congressional District 8. So that'll help Gabe, I think. But the other thing that will help Gabe out is that this is such an important seat nationally that the big guns are coming in, right? They're not messing around here. That's why you see Gabe doing so well fundraising wise. This has national attention associated with it. And Gabe is smart enough to be able to navigate all this and is, to your point, just conservative enough to keep us conservatives happy, but not out there trying to earn the badge for, most conservative. Although he is a strong conservative. So he's navigating all those things well.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's Ken Paxton, not Abbott.
Yeah,
I was sitting there on the
Ken
name.
Paxton.
Yeah, it's Paxton.
Yeah.
That's the one. It's Paxton. Because I knew it was a Cronin ad that I saw run through me, and I'm like, who was it? So it's not Abbott. Yeah, it's Ken Paxton. And, oh boy. One of the opening lines, he cheated on his wife.
It's getting spicy in Texas.
And then follows up with, and now trying to break up another household because he's seeing a woman who's married with 7 children. And that's in the opening few seconds. Yeah. It's getting serious.
People sometimes are like, it's so divided in the Republican Party here in Colorado. I was like, wait till you start winning.
Yeah.
Then it gets really divided.
Yeah. It's pretty
All
ugly.
right, let's talk advanced hair restoration. Guys, if you're losing your hair and desire to have it back, then Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes. Guys, it's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most, and bam, it grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated Dr. Tanya Paul's modern technology. And best of all, you get your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now, 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you'll get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver and has changed the lives of tens of thousands of people. So don't wait. Check out the before and afters online for yourself, 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com, 720-459-HAIR, advancedhair.com. More The Jeff and Bill Show to come. You're listening to us on 710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We are The Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver.
And now on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show, where you hear both sides. Now, Billy, one of the things we asked Gabe Evans about was the Bighorn Correctional Facility.
Yes.
This is up in Hudson, Colorado. It's a former prison 30 miles northeast of Denver and is under a $39 million 6-month contract with private operator the Geo Group. By the way, they had some Supreme Court news yesterday, but it was more procedural than anything else. But ICE wanting to reopen it. Department of Homeland Security interested in using that, and every Democrat leader in Colorado going, no way, absolutely not. Telling ICE to immediately abandon those efforts. Bill, what do you make of this? Should we be adding some more ICE detention facilities in Colorado?
It depends. I'm not 110% against it based on how, when, where. The other question I've got is, things like funding. It does worry me at times based on privatization firms.
You don't like private prisons?
No, I don't think so, because the problem is it's the same problem I have with that you do with the idea of legal marijuana. If we privatize it and make it a for-profit industry, then we are incentivized to put more people into prison. And we're incentivized in order to make that group grow. And the privatization of it is incentivized to spend the least amount of dollar cost caring for those prisoners, because otherwise they don't maximize profit. So I think that is problematic. I think it can be okay with some oversight, but I don't know what's going to happen, et cetera, as far as the oversight, and also where's the funding coming from. I do have a bit of a problem where it's a government check that a private company then takes and says, look, we're a private entity doing this. Well, say you're just an arm of the government at that point, because you just get all the government money. You want to go out there and raise your own money.
Oh, that's the argument. That's actually the argument Geo was making before the Supreme Court with regards to liability.
Oh, yeah.
Going, we're
that.
taking the checks from the government.
Oh, yeah.
We're doing your job, guys.
Yeah, exactly. And where's that liability, and how does that extend? And so that's what I'm curious is, where's the funding come from? Because if we're just handing the check to the privatization, are they really a private firm that is doing it? Or if all the funding comes from the federal government, are they just an arm of the federal government?
Well, here's Pedersen, Bennett, and Hickenlooper. As ICE agents continue to terrorize our communities, illegally detaining U.S. citizens and skirting congressional oversight of existing facilities, we strongly oppose the expansion of ICE detention beds in Colorado. There's not a chance in hell, they say, we're going to sit back and allow this rogue, lawless agency to expand their despicable operations in Colorado. My stomach is sick thinking about the families being ripped apart and the kids forced to endure a lifetime of trauma and heartbreak from losing their parents. So, yeah, I hope the ICE does that. Just put it right there, drive them all nuts. They'll protest anyways, but it's time to deport them all. We'll continue the debate on the other side. Plus, your ballots might be changing. You might get those really early now with some changes happening down at the Colorado State Capitol. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS in Denver.
And now on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. We'll be back in just a minute. This is the Jeff and Bill Show.